Okay, this is it. I messed up the first time, but I think I got it this time. Folks, this is the True American Podcast. I am your host. Let me give you some quick background about the True American Podcast. Cassius M. Clay was a radical abolitionist here in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. And he had a newspaper, and it was called the True American. It was an abolitionist newspaper, an anti-slavery newspaper. And of course, some folks, pro-slavery forces, threatened Cassius M. Clay. They threatened the brother. So he put a cannon. Let me tell you, man, it's some one crazy white boy. He put a cannon in his office and said, y'all can threaten me all you want. You can even come attack me, but I got something for you. And so when I say crazy white boy, I say that in the most positive sense imaginable. I would put with that Bill Burr, Ben Shapiro. And a crazy white boy is somebody, Joe Rogan, I put them. Crazy white boy is just somebody who's like, hey, man, you know, this guy is he's just off the chain, but you better listen to him. He's got something positive to say. And he ain't racist at all. They'll stand up they'll stand up for their truth and have a lot of respect for Cassius M. Clay. And that's why I called my podcast The True American. And please like, subscribe, share this podcast. Guys, let me tell you something. Here in the city of Louisville, you know, we had the election of the mayor. Craig Greenbert, he won, over 51% of the vote. William Dierfuf, the former mayor of Jeffersontown, he won over 46% of the vote. But here's the story. Here is the story. Listen. Here is the story. Martina Kunnecke, she came in third with roughly a little under 1% of the vote. She's a black woman, but that's not what's important. I'm not into identity politics. What's important is that this sister she was raising some important issues. Issues the other two major candidates, the Democratic Party candidate and the Republican Party candidate, they weren't bringing up these issues that Martina was bringing up. The issues Martina was bringing up was very important. Very important. And I really think she needed more, media coverage or whatever. But folks, check this out. Most of you are familiar with the Louisville Urban League. They're down there on Broadway. And at the time of the whole election of mayor, it was a black woman. She was called the CEO of the Louisville Urban League. Not one time when the Louisville Urban League sponsored a forum, candidates forum, not one time did they invite Martina. Martina's a black woman. As a matter of fact, as far as I know, she was the only black woman running. Now maybe I'm wrong in that, but even so, she was definitely a black woman, and she wasn't invited to any candidates forum sponsored by the Louisville Urban League. I found that a little disconcerting, and it was not an oversight. Folks, it was not an oversight. I'm very familiar with the Louisville Urban League. It was not an oversight. Folks, let me share something else with you. Some of you are familiar with the Louisville Defender, right? I mean, Louisville Defender, it's an historic newspaper. It was started by Frank Stanley. And then when Frank Stanley passed, his son, Frank Stanley Jr., took it over. Louisville Defender is one of the single most important newspapers, not just in the city of Louisville, but in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. It's owned by another brother. And I'm glad he's pushing forward with it. I want to say the brother's last name is Leslie, Mr. Leslie. And I'm so glad he's keeping the Louisville Defender going. But hey, go to the Louisville Defender's 10/27/2022 issue. And front page, Election 2022 Candidates Profile Edition. Every single local person running for office was profiled. And the two senators, the two people running for Senate, Charles Booker and Rand Paul, they were profiled. The candidate for Jeffersontown Mayor, Carol Pike, she was profiled. Let me see now. Candidates for district court judges were profiled. People like Shannon Falver and Tanisha Hickerson, they were profiled. You know who wasn't profiled? Martina Kunnecke. She's not in here. Greenbert is in here. Candidate for Metro Mayor. Bill Dierfuf, candidate for Metro Mayor. He was profiled. But Martina wasn't. I have the issue literally in my hand right now. You don't believe me? You don't believe me that Martina wasn't profiled? Contact the Louisville Defender Office and say, hey, please send me a copy of your, let me get the date. I'll make sure the date's right. 10/27 issue. That's October 27 issue. See for yourself. Don't believe me. See for yourself. Now, folks, I'm not into conspiracy theories. Well, I take that back. I enjoy reading about conspiracy theories. And there are almost no conspiracy theories, however, I really push forward. In other words, I'm not saying, this is, this conspiracy theory is correct. It's 100% on. I'm not saying that at all. I don't say that about any conspiracy theory. But I will say this. I find it rather suspicious. Quote me on that. I find it rather suspicious that Martina Kunnecke, who was an independent candidate for the office of Metro Mayor, was not at any candidates forum sponsored by the Louisville Urban League and was not part of the Louisville Defenders Election 2022 Candidates Profile Edition. That's all I'm saying. You take it from there.